discussed on Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin Money. Talkin Money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Boy, these headphones sound terrible. And these are the good ones, too. There you go. Maybe it's just the music in the background. How you doing? Me, myself, and me. You and I. In a dark room, a caged box, behind a sheet of glass, which is where Chris belongs. It is Saturday morning. I was hoping to get up and do a little snow skiing in my front yard this morning. Didn't pan out. I don't live high enough. I need to get up above the 280-foot mark to get into the snow. But hopefully you had a little white, I'll say white Christmas, but it ain't Christmas. You had a little white December morning. Hope you did. Glad to see it. Where you live there, Mr. Verlaud, did you get any snow this morning? Nope. Because you were in the studio here. Now, you watching soccer up there?
I was.
You were. So who was winning? Or who won?
It was a draw.
Wait a minute. Do they don't get to just like shoot out now?
Nope.
See, that's the part I don't like about soccer. There has to be a winner. I don't get that.
There wasn't a winner in football a couple weeks ago.
Well, isn't this the playoffs? I mean, aren't you watching like a tournament?
No.
Oh.
It's just a season.
So I'm looking at this. I'll let you get into your stuff real quick too, but I'm looking at U.S. draws the worst group ever. What does that mean?
That's what I was going to talk about.
Okay, good. Then I led you right into it.
Well, it looks pretty difficult for the World Cup this year. U.S. is going up against Germany, Portugal, and Ghana. No one really thinks of Ghana as a powerhouse, but they've knocked the U.S. two out of the last couple of last World Cups. So all I was seeing on Twitter, all I was seeing was my friends, oh, my God. Oh, worst draw ever. Oh, my God. But all of us, me included, just months ago were like, man, I really want to see the U.S. go up against the best of the world. What can we prove? What are we going to show the world? We're going to show them that we are one of the best soccer teams in the world. Well, I think of it as a good thing. Not only do I think we could make it out of this group, but in that case, you're going to drop either Ghana, Germany, or Portugal. I think Germany and U.S. are going to advance, but you're taking one of those other big legs out, and I think it'll be an easier quotation marks, way to get out of the top 16, which the U.S. hasn't. They
want to see the best in the world in the finals. They don't want to see them in the starting. Now, in those games, can you play to a draw?
Yeah, it's a group of. You got a group of 4 teams. They each play once. It's a round robin. They each play once, and the team who's got the most points, you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw.
Oh, okay.
0 for a loss.
Okay, so you get a little credit for a draw.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you catch this? I thought this was, speaking of sports and money, which we do sometimes. The Seattle Mariners signed a new player. Did you see who that was?
Robinson Cano.
$240 million 10-year contract, which in baseball terms doesn't sound, that's a lot of money, but it doesn't sound unusual. So get this, Chris. How much money did the Seattle Mariners spend in the last 7 years in the offseason?
I think it's actually been less than what they just paid.
$239 million. They spend, in the last 7 years, they've spent on all their acquisitions $1 million less than they just spent on one player. So trying to keep up with the Joneses or the Pinstripes or whatever you want. The Seattle Mariners making a move up north. They didn't get a basketball team, but they're going to get a baseball player for $240 million. So good for them. Welcome in. How you doing? John Fott out there somewhere celebrating his wife's birthday this weekend. So happy birthday to Justine. In the second half of the show today, I do have a special guest going to call in, and I've been putting him off. We were supposed to have him come in and call in around November. I put him off until today, not knowing that we would get our biggest snowstorm of the year last night. Porter Fox is an author, And I think he still does do quite a bit of work for Powder Magazine, writes some articles there. But he's been researching and writing a book on the future of the ski industry and the future of, really snow in general. Where are we headed, and what happens if the world gets warmer, and all those good things that relate around that. And that, if you think that's just a sports story, it is not. It is a monetary story. And if you remember a couple weeks ago, I had some people on from the Water District, San Juan Water District, and they talked about what happens to even just a couple feet movement up the hill as temperatures start to get warmer and snow recedes back up the hill. The loss of water content that they have, the storage, is enormous. So it's a very interesting story. And we're going to have Porter come on in the second half of the show today, talk about what he sees. And he's not a climatologist. He's not a weather person. He's a skier. And he's just someone who is concerned about the future of that sport that many of us enjoy, some of us more than others. But so Porter will join us in the second half of the show, and we'll talk about his new book that's coming out. I've got some other interesting facts of the things that are trends that are coming, so we'll talk about those this week. I got some ski passes to give away. Sierra Tahoe. Actually, Chris, can you look on the Sierra Tahoe website for me and see if they are if they've announced they're opening? I thought they were opening this weekend, but we'll have Chris check that out for sure. We are going to give away some ski passes to some quiz questions during the break. So if you are a skier or a boarder or would like to get a pass to Sierra Tahoe, stay tuned. Get your Google ready so you can get the correct answer. We've got some roundtable pizza if you're not a skier and you want to just hang out at home and watch some football and eat some pizza. Looking forward tonight to the Oak Ridge Folsom football game at Sac State. Two of our young relatives, the Books, Ian and Nolan, are on the Oak Ridge football team, and they will be playing tonight for the section finals. That will be fun, and hopefully it will not be 35 degrees below. So check that out if you're interested in seeing that football game tonight. And that's the end of my sports-related stories for the moment. Got a lot of fun stuff that came in this week. And I guess I'll start with this because it's kind of interesting. We were talking about Twitter. Twitter came out public. Jeez. Did you get an answer, Chris?
It opened yesterday.
Okay, cool. So we'll give away some passes and get those out for Sierra Tahoe, and you can getting on up there. Twitter, which became public, what was that, 3 weeks ago now, already has some sell recommendations. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch this week came out and said they have posted a sell. Well, they don't actually say sell. They say an underperform rating, which in the Wall Street world means sell. And they set a target of $36 on the shares, which would mean that I'm guessing that if you get to that point, they should say you should sell. They're about $40 a share right now. That's unusual because that Merrill Lynch was one of the groups that actually helped underwrite the IPO for Twitter, amongst others. Two of them have it a hold, and two of them have it as buy. So it's kind of an early break from a company that helped get them started. Twitter, this is what happens when you become public. Everybody gets in your business, right? Everybody becomes an expert in what you're doing or not doing, and they should rightfully so. If they being the investors own a good portion of the company, if not most of it now. This I found fairly interesting. We're trying to figure out how many Twitter users there really are. Italian security researchers last month said they found 20 million fake accounts on Twitter, which would equate to just about 9%. That's just one investigation of fake accounts on Twitter. Why would you have fake accounts, or why do you care about a fake account? Well, there's quite a few companies that specialize in getting you, if you are a Twitter user, and they quote a few of them here. They quote some rap stars and some different businesses. You can buy fake accounts, and those fake accounts will follow you, and they will retweet you, and they will make you a trending topic on Twitter, which raises your profile, which raises your, if you're doing a business, raises your awareness of customers. You can buy, for example, Mr. Vidmar, who is, I believe, they tell me he was somewhere overseas. Let's see here. I had it and I lost it. But anyway, he one day was offered 150,000 fake accounts for sale. And he says he's buying fake accounts for different sources right now. So people will manage hundreds of thousands of accounts for followers of you. And why does Twitter care? Well, for one, if you're going to sell marketing on Twitter, it'd be nice to know that your users were real users in real life. But also, if you want a promoted trend on Twitter, that can sell for as much as $200,000 a day. So you want to promote yourself as the Christopher Lodge Show on Twitter as the number one trending item on Twitter. $200,000 a day probably get you there. I did not know that. I thought all of that was natural born interest, but you can in fact pay to be promoted trend.
When you do pay for it, it does say promoted on it.
Okay, so there's two different sections.
Yeah, so you'll see stuff that is just naturally going, and then it'll be like, I don't know, Pepsi Cola, Gatorade, Coca-Cola promoted.
So, okay, and I'm not a huge Twitter user. A lot of the stuff that I post on Facebook goes to Twitter, so I don't actually have to go there. So, Crystal, would it be like on Google where you see you can tell the ad buy, you type in Christopher Lodge and something, the ad ones come up on top, and then the natural ones come below.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it is at least they're telling you that it's an ad.
Okay, well then, so all you're really doing is paying $200,000 just to see your name at the top of the list, which is what Google does. The higher you pay per click, the higher you come up on the research, which is fine. But if Chris and I went out and hire 150,000 fake followers, and we naturally rise to the top of that search or naturally of that trend, then we are in fact beating Twitter out of a bunch of money for promoting ourselves there too. So anyway, it's an interesting dynamic you're starting to see, and Twitter's trying to get a hold of it. They feel that I think their article said they felt they had about a 10% fake users. Well, in one day, the Italian researchers found 9%. So maybe Twitter's off on their account there a little bit anyway, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. I would expect, with just a pure speculation and guess, that their stock will do similar to Facebook. It'll run up. It'll run down lower than it should, and then it'll settle back somewhere where it ought to be, and then they'll figure out if they can make money or not. And then you can decide whether you want to buy or not. I do not own any Twitter stock. I don't know if you do. If you think it's a good buy, text me. Let me know why. 441140. We'll take your comments there. Let's jump in and get a quick quiz question. I'm going to come back. There's some interesting housing news and some interesting interest rate and future of interest rates and future of housing mortgage comments that are coming out now with the hiring of some new people. And interesting, what side of the aisle writes what and how they anticipate things happening and how they look at the future. The industry looking at the future of next year particularly is going to be a challenging period of time. And there are some that believe that we have not gone far enough to making things challenging for you. If you've done a loan recently, I can guarantee you have had your fill of challenging and comments, and we need more of this, and we need more of that, and can you explain this, and where did that $50 deposit come from, and who's your mother on your grandmother's father's third cousin's side, and bring us an oil sample and a blood sample. You've been through it. It's not fun, and there are some that think that it hasn't gone far enough, so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. As I mentioned at the second half of the hour, Porter Fox, author, is going to join us, talk about the ski industry and, quite frankly, the future of is it going to keep snowing here anymore in the North America and in the world. We'll talk to him a little bit, and we'll take your calls and questions. Should you want to jump in, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 1140. Good news for California lawmakers. This will be our first quiz question, by the way, at 339-1140, or you can text me, 441140. California lawmakers on Monday got their first raise since the start of the recession, a 5.3% increase. Base pay now $95,291. Through collective bargaining, state workers are set to receive a 2% increase beginning next summer, contingent on the state's finances. Oh, by the way, state of California has $2.4 billion in reserves. Does that mean that so where'd that money come from? We had a little tax hike a little while back. That raised some money. Economy's getting a little better. That raised some money. Does that mean we can get the tax hike unhiked? Everybody raise your hand if you'd like some of your tax money back. Right over here in the corner, Mr. Bueller. So $2.4 billion. It won't take them very long to completely eradicate that, and we'll be needing more money. That's another topic. Here's my quiz question for you. One state, and I'll give it to you, they're back east. One state, according to the National Council of State Legislatures, has the lowest annual pay with each legislator getting $100 a year. Now that's civil service. That's doing your part to, well, I don't know, $100 versus $95,000. I mean, how many of you out there are making $95,000 a year for underperforming in your work? Not for very long, huh? Anyway, the base pay is $95,000, $291 in the state of California, but this state gets a $100 stipend per year. Which state is that? 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140. Have some ski passes for you, some round table pizza. When you come back, I have the color of 2014. You're out there shopping, gentlemen, for your wife, girlfriend, daughter, or all three if you're in some states. I have the color coming for you, the color of 2014. I'll give that to you. So make sure you don't buy the color of 2013. I think I've got the list. I do. I have all the previous colors, so we will not make a mistake there. This is Talkin' Money. My name's Jeff Tarbell. We're going to be right back, Jack.
Talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah, how you doing? Did we make sure our it's working there? We got a couple winners there. It was not the easiest question. 339-1140 if you want to jump in. Text me at 441140. Going to a little shorter segment here. Then we've got a guest joining us by telephone. Porter Fox, who's an author and contributor to Powder Magazine, talking about the future of the ski industry and the future of if it's going to snow here anymore or not. California lawmakers got a raise this week of $95,291 as the base pay, about a 5.3% increase. The New Hampshire legislators get a $100 a year stipend for their work. And to be fair, in 2009, the Compensation Commission cut lawmakers' salaries by 18% and reduced by 18% the state's contributions for health and other insurance benefits. Auto and per diem allowances were also cut. And in 2011, legislators lost their cars and their gas cards and were given a $300 allowance instead. So they have not gotten back what they once had. So if we're going to be all on the up and up there, the 5% raise is probably keeps up with, things have been improving generally. I wish they would improve their work product a little bit, but I guess we're not doing merit-based pay right now down there. So we'll cover it anymore. The hottest new color, if you're out shopping, we'll get this out of the way. That's the newspaper. The hottest new color. So if you're going to buy something, it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter whether it's lipstick, a coffee maker, a Converse shoe, an Old Navy shirt, a pillow. It doesn't matter. The hottest color of 2014. Anybody want to take a guess? You want to take a guess, Chris?
Blue.
Blue. Let me see what year blue was. Blue turquoise was 2000. You're so 2005. It's ridiculous. So here's the colors as they go over the years. And some of them, I'm not sure you'll know what they are. Tiger lily. You know what tiger lily is? It's kind of a burnt orange. Blue turquoise. This is from 04 and on. Sand dollar. That's plain. Chili pepper. Blue iris. Mimosa. Turquoise. Honeysuckle, which is kind of a pinkish. Tangerine tango. Emerald was 2013. And your winner for 2014 is Radiant Orchid. And what does that look like to you, Chris?
Purple.
No. Well, it's or a really dark, either a light purple or a really dark pink. You can even get your purse and your car in the same color. Oh yeah, they call it purpley red trend. Okay, magenta metallic. There's lots of names there, but anyway, nice looking color. I can see that on you. Your eyes bring out the pink in your lipstick there, Chris. So there you go. If you're looking for stuff, get the 2014 color and don't embarrass yourself in front of your family, much like I do weekly. Hey, did you pick up the city of Detroit declared bankruptcy this week? Maybe it was last week. Yeah, I think it was last week. End of last week, first of this week. And $18 billion in long-term debt. The largest ever municipal bankruptcy. Take that, Stockton. You better pick up the pace down there. And now they're looking for how do you get out of debt. What happens when you go into bankruptcy? Creditors look for assets they can sell and get their money back. And the city of Detroit owns about just under $1 billion. It's depending on depending on what you're selling and who values it. Could be as low as $500 million. Could be as much as $1 billion. 66,000 pieces could be sold. There's about 10 or 15 of them will have the bulk of the value. And that is the Detroit Art Museum. So you could sell off the Detroit Art Museum, or the art in the museum, including Van Gogh's self-portrait and Bruegel's The Wedding Dance, which Chris has in his house, I'm sure, and declare $866 million, which would be about a drop in the bucket, 1/18 of what they owe. But anyway, they're looking at selling off or renting out or otherwise monetizing the almost $1 billion in art the city of Detroit has. I'm guessing if your city's bankrupt, maybe you don't need a $1 billion art exhibit. Just me, but I'm thinking it might be time to pass it on to somebody else who's got some money and let them do something with it. In the other obscure world, Chris, are you familiar with the LeBron James Nike LeBron 11 basketball shoe?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
The only way I can describe it, I kind of call it it's like Iron Man's shoe. Have you seen that?
It's funny. Basketball shoes now don't even look like they're comfortable.
Well, this is the thank you, Chris. Chris, you are on it today. You're on your game today. Nike's new 200-plus LeBron 11 basketball shoe has a lot of fans, but one of them isn't. LeBron James has only worn the shoe 2 full games out of the first 18. And he started off in the game with the shoes on and then have taken them off. And if you look at the shoe, I kid you not, it does look like it's the exact same color and scheme of Iron Man's outfits. It's kind of got that gold with the with the red on it, and it does. It's kind of got like a hard plastic look. It doesn't look terribly comfortable. I'm sure if you're just walking around in it, it's just fine. But apparently LeBron doesn't want to wear his own shoe, or isn't. And hey, if he wears it and his game goes downhill, then there won't be a LeBron 12. So you might as well put the old shoes on and win. So if you're looking for a pair of $200 LeBron James shoes, you might ask him. They're probably like new. Also in the business news this week, Quiznos here. Are you a Quiznos fan, Chris? You been there?
A couple times.
Yeah. Quiznos, which at one point in time was giving Subway a run for its money, and they had nearly 5,000 stores in 2008, is dropping quickly. Not because the people don't like the food. Quiznos still has 2,100 stores today. And I have talked about this, probably not on the radio much, but in person a lot, from people who are looking at franchises in general. I don't know anything about the Quiznos franchise. I don't know anybody that owns one, but I do know a fair number of people that own other franchises and have a ton of clients that own franchises of different varieties. And being a franchisee is not all it's cracked up to be. And partly because when you are a franchisee, you are beholden to the franchisor, in this case, Quiznos or a Subway or a McDonald's or Baskin-Robbins or, you name it. And my experience with some of my buddies who have owned different franchises is that someone at the top wakes up one morning and has a change of heart about how the color of your store wallpaper looks and how this should be and how that should be and everything should be rerouted. And they will send down a directive to you that you will be changing your store over at your expense post haste, or they won't be delivering you any more of their product, or you'll lose your franchise or whatever. And it can be a very, very difficult position to be in and very expensive. I mean, changing a store over, or refranchising, or not refranchising, but rebranding a store, or remodeling it in any sort of fashion for a business that generally doesn't have high margins can be incredibly expensive. And my guess is, without digging too detailed into the Quiznos deal here, is that a lot of the franchisees, as reported here in the paper, that they're dissatisfied. And I'm guessing it has to do with the fact they're being asked to do lots and lots of things that are very, very expensive. They don't want to keep it up. So Quiznos, if you see them disappear from the corner pretty soon, it probably has nothing to do with the quality of the food. I don't think it does at all. It probably has to do with the quality of the management telling them what to do. So there's our guest host too. So we're going to take let's get one quick call in here. Let's see if let's go to Lucas real quick. We'll get Porter in just a minute. Lucas, welcome to Talkin. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Hey, I just had a quick comment. One is these colors of LeBron shoes.
Yes.
They sound more like Cavs colors.
So you think he's going? You think that's a hint? He's going back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Lucas thinks.
My other question is, I've always wondered about farming taxes, like tax breaks for farmers.
Yeah.
And I'm in the process of trying to buy this little farm in Coalinga for pistachios.
Okay.
And I love pistachios, and I think that I spent a lot of money on them. So I thought, well,
Just gonna buy a
let me
farm?
go check it out. And I found, but I'm more interested also in harvesting. There's like this machine you can buy, and for some reason, a lot of the farmers, they vend that out to other like a company or individuals who actually have the skill set and the machine to harvest
Yep.
those things. And so I thought, well, maybe if I could get to know the farmers down there with my little farm, then I could also be the harvest guy.
Yeah, my experience with farming, and I do, believe it or not, I do have some, because I had to come from a family that had a big farm back in North Dakota. And farming is like the mortgage business, like a lot of other businesses. If you want to become a millionaire in the farming business, you start with $2 million, and you become a millionaire afterwards. And most farmers make their money when they sell their farms, not when they're doing their product. And so farming is an incredibly of any size and scale. It's like my wife's saying she likes to drink wine, so I should go buy a vineyard. So I would be very, very cautious. I mean, it's one thing if you're going to be a hobby farmer and you like to do that. It's something you do well at.
I would say like a micro pistachio guy, but really I just want to harvest stuff for everyone.
Yeah, then you don't want to be a farmer. You want to be a contract harvester for somebody, which means you don't have to own anything. You can run around and do the work for them. And
what about tax breaks?
Well, tax breaks come in all sorts of forms for equipment purchases and other things too. And I am not a CPA, so I don't know all the particular laws about where you could get tax breaks. And certainly there are accelerated depreciation for buying equipment. If you wanted to buy a piece of equipment and go around and service different farms and provide that service for them, then absolutely there's tax breaks for buying equipment. And depreciation and all kinds of things that go along with that. But I would highly recommend that you find somebody who already does that, talk to them about it, find out how busy they are, what kind of cost it takes to get into it, and then go talk to a CPA and say, hey, if I bought a piece of equipment like this and did this, what are the advantages to me of from a tax standpoint? I never do anything based on tax breaks alone, because remember, you're losing $1 so you can save 21 cents. So if you want to tax...
Well, I kind of agree with that, too. I never could understand... Well, I guess I do kind of understand the concept, but like with my house, I just paid my house off. Everybody says, well, what about those great tax breaks or all the interest you could write off? And I'd say, well, what about the interest I just keep in my bank?
Yep. Anybody out there right now who's looking for a write-off, you can send me a check for $1,000 to Jeff Tarbell. I will send you a receipt back. I'll declare it as income, and you can declare it as an expense, and you will have a write-off. Don't worry about it. I got you covered.
I want a part of that, that's for sure. Hey, well, I think all those superstar basketball guys, I think that they all, they've gotten way away from, comfort and just, something that actually helps you play basketball better, and it's just about design and fashion, and I think very few of them are going to be wearing their own shoes in the near future.
I totally agree. And Lucas, I'm going to put you on hold. We're going to give Lucas, see if he wants some round table pizza or some ski passes there, Chris. Porter Fox is on hold. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the future of skiing, boarding, snow, water, all the things that go along with that, with another skier, not with a scientist. Porter Fox is going to join us here in just a minute. This is Talkin' Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell. We're going to be right back. Hey.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing? Staying warm, I hope. First major snowstorm of the year, all the way down to about the 1,000-foot level. So first we get nothing, then we get it all the way down into the city almost. So be cool out there. If you haven't driven in snow before, it'll probably be gone in an hour. So I didn't give our quiz question out before the break. I'll do that right now, Chris. Super Bowl ad prices have been published for this year's spots. $4 million for a 30-second spot. And here's our question. Who was the number one or who has been the number one Super Bowl spender over the last 9 years? They've spent $248.6 million in ads. They've probably got about twice that much in terms of marketing. But which company, $248 million in the last 9 years on Super Bowl ads? 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text me at 441140. Give you a ski pass to Sierra Tahoe if you want to do that, or give you some Round Table Pizza if you'd rather do that, or we can just send you good wishes. On the phone with me, as advertised, Porter Fox has joined me. Porter, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you doing?
Good. I said at the beginning of the show today, we had Porter booked for November, and then I thought I emailed him and said, emailed you and said, we better hold off on that. We're not getting any weather. And your response to me was, yeah, that's the point of the book.
It's snowing now. That makes us all happy.
Snowing now. And you're back east, right?
I'm actually I live back east, but I'm in Salt Lake City right now.
Oh, yeah.
At Powder Magazine editorial conference. So.
And are you guys getting any weather there yet?
Oh, it's dumping here. Right?
Yeah, okay. So you're getting what we had yesterday afternoon and last night.
Absolutely.
So love Deer Valley and that whole area out there too. So I love skiing out in Utah. Porter, why don't you before I jump into it, here's why some people listen to the show think, what does Jeff talk about skiing? This has nothing to do with money. So here I have in my I subscribe to all the magazines. Powder, one of my favorite. I happen to have a ski magazine in front of me. Okay, so let me just flip through the pages real quick. Cadillac, Rolex, Eddie Bauer, Olympus Cameras. I haven't got to an article yet. Subaru, Jackson Hole, Deer Valley, Cirrus, Columbia. I still haven't got to the articles yet. Snowmass, Deer Valley. So I've in the first 15 pages, Macallan Scotch whiskey. In the first 20 pages, I've read off, some of the major companies in this country. So skiing is skiing, but skiing is money. Snow is money. Lack of snow is lack of money. So Porter, what is before we get into your book, what is your background? Where do you come from, and how do you get to this topic we want to talk about today?
I've been a skier my whole life. I grew up in northern Maine, and I skied when I was 2 years old for the first time, and I've been skiing ever since. And I've worked for Powder Magazine as an editor since 1999. So, the future of my career is kind of at stake, and of the magazine, and of everybody that's involved in winter sports in that industry if winters start to warm up. So I got a call about a year and a half ago from two businessmen in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and they just wanted to know what was going on with climate change and snow. They'd seen some effects in Wyoming and read some things around the world, and they said, hey, would you be interested in writing a book about this? And they'd also read a book about climate change and its effect on surfing.
Oh, yeah.
And how it's changing wave patterns around the world. So at any rate, that's how it all started. I looked into it a bit and was really shocked by what I found, and wrote the book. It's called Deep, The Story of Skiing and the Future of Snow.
Now, is that book out yet?
It is, yeah. It came out November 16th. You can get it on Amazon.com in hardback, paperback, Kindle, whatever you want.
So let's take a step back so people understand where you and I are coming from. You are not a scientist. You're not someone who's paid to go out and prove that global warming exists. So
Exactly.
So before you started, before those gentlemen called you, what was your gut reaction as far as global warming? Where were your beliefs?
I mean, to be honest, I write about a lot of different things, not just skiing. And I was concerned about the environment, but I really didn't know that much about it. I wasn't, following that story every day, every month. So when I did look into it, that's partly why I was so shocked. I've been in the ski industry for almost 20 years now, and to not realize that 1 million square miles of snow has just disappeared from the northern hemisphere in the last 45 years. Yeah, I had no idea. So it was kind of shocking at first, and then the more I got into it, you read different perspectives on why and how in the future of weather and snow and climate and whatnot, and it was a little less alarming at that point, but I was pretty shocked at first.
And so, I guess the problem that I have had with the discussion is that it always seems to, and maybe your education now, your research is leading you somewhere else, but everybody seems to point to human beings and say it's your fault, our fault for warming the planet, and where do you lie on the causes of that you're starting to see? What do you think the root cause of global warming is, or do you have one?
I honestly, Jeff, I don't think it's anybody's fault. I don't think anyone purposefully is trying to hurt the planet or change the way we live or anything like that. I think it's just something that happened that we all need to be aware of. There are natural causes that can heat the planet. There are natural causes that can cool the planet. But by the end of my research, I wasn't debating any longer whether or not the Earth was warming and whether or not greenhouse gases were causing the Earth to warm. That's not a scientific debate anymore. There's nearly 95 to 100% assurance that is what's happening. The real question mark and the thing that we all need to look into and try to kind of find out is how does it play out? And to be perfectly honest, people don't know exactly how it's going to play out. There are a lot of folks that say, hey, there's been a pause in warming for the last decade. Well, that decade happened to start with one of the warmest years on record. And so when you start with an extremely warm year and you look at that graph, it's going to look kind of flat. You start at the year before, and it has that upward slope of warming. But there will be, there will be periods of warming. There will be periods potentially of cooling. But the science behind it is very sound. And when you read about it, and I have people that I know, people in my family that have kind of doubted the fact that humans could have changed the planet on this scale. But when they read the science and they really kind of get into an unbiased scientific look at what is happening, it's just numbers. There actually isn't a lot of politics involved. It's a very simple process that is happening. But again, how it exactly plays out, and specifically with snow in America, that's still a question mark, and we're trying to figure out how that's going to go.
Yeah, we're speaking with Porter Fox, who has a book out called Deep, and discusses the future of the ski industry. And I'm with you, Porter. I'm at the point where there's so much political rhetoric about global warming. It's such a great fundraising, topic, and if we just all would tax ourselves a little bit more, we could resolve it before the next 5 years. And I'm to the point of if it's happening, it probably has happened before. It will happen again, and there'll be periods of cooling. I remember when I was up in Alaska on a cruise, we took a little float plane around, and the guy was pointing out. He said, here's all the glaciers that used to be here. Now it's gone, and everybody's like, oh, well, global warming. He's like, well, I can go show you 3 more that weren't even here 20 years ago that are now growing. So, I think for the moment, I think this morning it kind of struck me. I said, let's forget about it for the minute. Why it's happening? Because it clearly there's changes are going to occur, whether it's sunspots or whether it's SUVs. But let's talk about the reality of. I mean, we don't here as a collective group. We don't care what happens over the next 1,000 years because we won't be here. But we care about what happens maybe over the next 100 years, and the next 50 years. So where does the industry grow? We had a local water district on a couple weeks ago, and they talked about the same thing you're talking about. Just an elevation in the snow level, just going up a few feet, in terms of elevation means a tremendous loss of water storage for people who need to drink water, and fill the lakes. And so I look around now and say, what does an industry do? And what are you seeing now as a counterattack to potentially, disastrous seasons? I mean, just think about let's just say one season it just doesn't snow at all or sufficiently to keep it. In California, that would be last year. The season was horrible. And what does that impact financially, and where does your book go in relation to that?
It's a really great question, and it's something I did look into in the book. There was a study that came out by a group called Protect Our Winters, which was started by a Tahoe local, Jeremy Jones.
Yep.
And the Natural Resources Defense Council, and they basically studied the economic impact of a bad snow year on ski resorts, and they found that over the last 10 years, the difference between bad snow years and good snow years at American ski resorts cost those resorts over $1 billion.
Jeez.
And the ramifications of that, it's pretty crazy. In California, the sort of change in estimated number of skier visits between a high snowfall year and a low snowfall year is around 5%. And it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you start to look into what an economic engine the winter sports industry is in the country, it's amazing. There's more than 23 million people that participate in winter sports every year. It adds around $12.2 billion in economic value to the U.S. economy every year. 38 states around the country, it's not just the West, 38 states experience added value to their economies from downhill ski and snowboard visits alone.
Hey, Porter, that I have totally mismanaged our time today, and that music means we got 1 minute left. So I wanted to get into you about all the areas that have these, the indoor skiing and all the different things too. So maybe we can do a part 2 of this too. But I want to get out your book name again. It's Porter Fox, and the book is called Deep, and you can get it on Amazon, and you can get it in hardcover. You can get it on the electronic version. And I really encourage you, he sent me an advanced copy to do some reading. I really encourage you just to read it, because however you believe that global warming is occurring, it's fascinating on some of the impacts that it will have. And Porter, I really appreciate you coming out on a Saturday and doing this with me, and hopefully we can do it again here as the book gets some traction and we could talk about it a little bit more. We have some more time.
That sounds great, Jeff. I look forward to it.
Okay, Porter, enjoy your time there in Utah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll catch up with you next week. You can find the show on Talkin Money, JeffTarbell.com. We'll see you next week. Aloha.
Talkin' money.